What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host, Marcus. Please be sure to shoot that like button, subscribe to the channel, as well as shoot that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the latest news surrounding the new Friday the 13th TV series being made by Bryan Fuller and A24 Studios that will be launched on Peacock streaming service when the first season is ready to be aired, and share my thoughts on this news and what we should expect to happen in the first season of the show. But before I get into it, let's hit that intro.
You are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times! Alright everyone, huge news broke out on Halloween that a Friday the 13th TV series was greenlit to be aired on Peacock, dubbed Crystal Lake. This comes after Sean Cunningham, the original film's director, teased on his cameo account back in August that a new Friday the 13th movie was in the works for October of 2023. However, as we all know, Cunningham and Victor Miller, the original film's writer who created the Jason and Pamela Voorhees characters, as well as original Final Girl Alice Hardy's character, have been going at it over the years in an ugly legal battle over the rights to the franchise. However, it seems that Miller has now actually won that legal battle, now teaming up with Bryan Fuller and A24 Studios for a prequel series to the original film. With that being said, let's delve into the article that I have from Deadline talking about this massive piece of news. Bryan Fuller has scored a straight-to-series order from Peacock for a prequel series set in the Friday the 13th universe. It comes from A24. The movie follows a fascinating legal battle between the team behind the original horror film. Crystal Lake comes from Star Trek Discovery co-creator Bryan Fuller, who has been developing a Friday the 13th project originally as a feature film since 2013. He will serve as writer, showrunner, and executive producer. A24 is the studio, while Victor Miller, who wrote the original screenplay of the 1980 movie, Mark Tabaroff, Miller's copyright attorney, and Rob Barsamane, who produced the original movie, will executive produce. It's worth remembering that Mrs. Voorhees was the original camp killer, a fact that Drew Barrymore's character in the original Scream film would have been wise to have known. The original Friday the 13th movie, which starred Betsy Palmer, Adrienne King, Laurie Bartram, and Kevin Bacon, follows a group of teenage camp counselors who are murdered in summer camp. Palmer plays Mrs. Voorhees, who initially kills a pair of counselors in 1959 at Camp Crystal Lake after her son Jason supposedly drowned, before going on a murder spree in 1979 when a group tries to reopen the camp. Jason turns up at the end to attempt to kill King's Alice after she killed his murderous mother. It was directed by Sean Cunningham. The legal case, which was decided by the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, and you can read here, saw Miller win the rights to the character that he created after a copyright termination battle. The producers of the original film, Horror Inc., which includes Barsamane, had argued that Miller's involvement was work for hire, but a judge ruled that it wasn't. The case meant that Miller is now able to license a prequel series. The fact that Barsamane is one of the executive producers alongside Miller means that a deal has been worked out between the groups. This means that there are no longer any question marks over what can and can't appear in the series, as it relates to later films in the franchise. For instance, Jason's famous hockey mask, which didn't show up until Friday the 13th Part 3, could potentially be part of the project as a result of the deal between the executive producers. It's been suggested by sources that this also opens the door for future feature films in the franchise. Crystal Lake is not the first television series based on the classic horror franchise. Friday the 13th, the series, aired for 3 seasons in syndication between 1987 and 1990 from Frank Mancuso Jr. and Larry B. Williams. The series, which followed a pair of owners of accursed antique stores, does not feature Jason or any characters from the films. Deadline also revealed in 2014 that Emmett Furla Oasis Films and Cunningham's Crystal Lake Entertainment were developing a series with Cunningham executive producing alongside Power executive producer Mark Canton, with Barsamane also producing, but that project never made it to air. Full details of the plot of the series are being kept under wraps. Brian Fuller said, "I discovered Friday the 13th in the pages of Famous Monsters magazine when I was 10 years old, and I have been thinking about this story ever since. When it comes to horror, A24 raises the bar and pushes the envelope, and I am thrilled to be exploring the campgrounds of Crystal Lake under their banner. And Susan Rovner is simply the best at what she does. It's a pleasure and an honor to be working with her again." Friday the 13th is one of the most iconic horror franchises in movie history, and we were dying to revisit this story with our upcoming drama series, Crystal Lake, added Susan Rovner, Chairman, Entertainment Content, NBC Universal Television and Streaming. "We can't wait to get to work with Brian Fuller, a gifted visionary creator who I've had the pleasure of being a longtime friend and collaborator, along with our incredible partners at A24 in this updated version for Peacock that will thrill long-standing fans of the franchise." Okay, y'all, a lot to unpack and talk about here. First, I want to say I am surprised that this is happening. I did not see this coming. As I stated earlier, all I and many of us knew was about the Sean Cunningham tease for a new film for October of next year. With that being said, it is also worth noting that Cunningham won't be involved with this project, even though his Horror Inc. stablemate, Rob Barsamane, is on this project, having smoothed things over with Victor Miller enough to still do business with each other, something Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller both agreed won't happen as it pertains to their working relationship. So this series will be a prequel to the original, so one can assume that we may get Mrs. Voorhees back into the fold, as she is the original killer in the original film, and the events of this series could very well pick up in 1959, where she does kill her first set of camp counselors. However, another character who could be brought into the fold is Jason's father, Pamela's husband, Elias, who was introduced into the Friday the 13th comics, as well as brought to life by actor C.J. Graham in the Friday the 13th fan film, Vengeance. What's a big deal for this series is that they can use anything under the Friday the 13th umbrella. Nothing is off limits like was thought to be, like it was assumed. Everybody assumed when this was announced that they wouldn't be able to use Jason's character, wouldn't be able to use basically anything that Victor Miller created, which we found out is not true. Victor Miller has the rights, A24 has the rights to everything, which gives way to so many different directions and timelines that they can even insert Jason's sister, Diana Kimball, who we were introduced to in Jason Goes to Hell, if they so choose to. So many different directions that, this series could now go with, now that Victor Miller actually has all the rights, now that A24 has all the rights. It's truly a stunning turn of events. Now, obviously everything that I just said is just speculation, just spitballing ideas of what direction or timeline this series may go in. It is also worth to note that the old Friday the 13th TV series didn't feature Jason or any other characters from the film, so that direction isn't off the table as well. However, the old TV series creator didn't have the rights. Victor Miller has the rights, so I see no reason why he wouldn't want to use the character that he created, or the characters that he created, I should say. One thing is that is somewhat alarming to me about this, that is in this article, is the comment made by Susan Rovner as she referred to Crystal Lake as a drama series. Now, could she have misspoke? Sure. But after she just said that Friday the 13th was an iconic horror franchise, why would she acknowledge Crystal Lake as a drama opposed to a horror show, if it's supposed to be a horror show? That's something to keep in mind for sure. Definitely something to keep in our minds as we get closer, to when this series comes out, and as obviously we get more information as time goes along. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and opinions on this new Friday the 13th series, Crystal Lake. Are you excited for it? And let me know your thoughts on Susan Rovner's comments about this series being a drama. Once again, this is ISH6XS YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host, Marcus. Please be sure to shoot that like button, guys. It helps out the channel a lot, helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Be sure to shoot that notification bell so you get all the latest content updates to the channel as well. Be sure to also follow me on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you guys for watching.